Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. We're live for a second week in a row on a Monday. We're getting a bad habit of doing this.
Yeah, but next Monday, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, things will change, as usual. We're live on the 10th of November. So we are live. As you can tell by the screw-up of their opening intro there. I didn't have anything planned. I was trying to think of something witty and sarcastic and stuff, but brain went blank.
Yeah. You were being woken up from the dream state.
Yeah. Yep. We're reviewing films
Anyone listening should get an idea what that's in regards to. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yep. We are reviewing films anyway, not babbling on like I'm doing a brilliant job of. This week in the cinema section, we've only got a couple of films, but one of them is probably one of the biggest films of this year.
Yeah. There are a few films out, but we had difficulty seeing some of them, and managed to see a couple, including... a little film from a man named Christopher Nolan you may have heard of called Interstellar. And then also a little bit about a Pierce Brosnan movie called November Man.
Yeah, and I was hoping to go and see a Russian film called Leviathan, but I just couldn't find the time to get to see it, and I really want to see it.
Yeah, I actually want to see. There's a couple other films. I mean, there's Skeleton Twins.
But it got a very, very limited release.
It did, but surprisingly was showing near me, but I just didn't have time for it. And surprisingly, the only showing of that today is, now. And another film which is quite sort of well spread, which is Say When, the Keira Knightley one, which I quite like Keira Knightley now as an actress, so I would like to see that. Hopefully I'll have something to say about it. I expect it probably will make its way into the top 10 next week, but we'll see.
Yeah, what would have been interesting though is if you went along to see the Skeleton Twins and we did the show live. It was just you actually telling us what's happening in the film and sort of like a blow-by-blow review.
I don't think the cinema would kind of let me stay in for that, no.
But that would have been interesting though. On Blu-ray and DVD we're looking at these films.
We have the latest Melissa McCarthy movie with Tammy. The X-Men are back in Days of Future Past. We have the sort of biopic from Clint Eastwood on the Jersey Boys. And we have a French film, Grand Central. Yep. And we also have then Keira Knightley again in Begin Again.
Yeah, she's all over the place this week, like really, really bad rash. On top of that, we have our TV movies of the week, the UK box office top 10 and the Blu-ray and DVD top 10, and some movie news.
And a hell of a lot of TV movies of the week to go through and pick out, don't we?
Yeah, make sure you check out the website mondaymovieshow.co.uk. A lot of things have actually been posted over the last week. We're getting more and more new trailers finding their way onto our shows, so we'll try get some of them up on the site this week. You can get in contact with us on Facebook at facebook.com/Monday Movie Show. On Twitter, at Monday Movie Show. I'm at Cryptic Tadpole. Andrew's at EHDVD. And email us, mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com. Plus, you can also leave us a comment on Spreaker's live chat.
I was going to say that, yeah. I thought you'd missed that out.
In the bottom right-hand corner and on the Spreaker wall as well. Comments are definitely viable. We need them. Right, let's kick things off with some movie news.
Yep. Pixar is going ahead with a fourth Toy Story movie. It was confirmed last week that director John Lasseter will be returning after directing the first two movies but not directing the third film. They have confirmed that Tom Hanks and Tim Allen will reprise their roles as Woody and Buzz Lightyear and have set the movie to have a release date for June 16th, 2017.
Did they actually confirm? Because the story that I read is that they didn't confirm that Tom Hanks and Tim Allen were returning.
Right, I do have it written down here, and so I mean it's been written down. That's the date that's been given. So whether or not it's been confirmed, but I'm presuming that's the date that they've got. It's been provided from somewhere.
I think it's obvious though that even when it hasn't been fully confirmed that both Tom Hanks and Tim Allen are returning, it's a given that they will do, because it's probably their biggest roles. Tim Allen's biggest role he's ever done, and Tom Hanks' more memorable role. Because when you ask, name a film that Tom Hanks has done, a lot of people will say Toy Story. No, a lot of people will say Toy Story, not Captain Phillips. A lot of people will say Toy Story, not Big or Captain Phillips.
Well, that's just two that came to mind right there.
Yeah, because you're an idiot. Next.
I mean, Forrest Gump.
Yeah. But that's you. You've seen probably more films than a lot of other people. The standard, ordinary people, the norm.
Okay. In other news, we have a piece of Star Wars news this week.
Yay.
Yeah. The title of Star Wars Episode 7 has been revealed and confirmed. This one has actually been confirmed because it was posted by the Star Wars Twitter account and confirmed officially. There's something actually really funny. If you saw it, someone posted saying, I don't think it's actually been confirmed, and then Star Wars said, it actually has, we just posted it. It's called The Force Awakens.
Snore.
I quite like it, but I would have said I would have done it differently. I would have said The Awakening of the Force, or it's
that's like
the Force
Yoda,
Awakens,
isn't
it? Yeah,
trying to force out the Yoda impression, are you? The Awakening of the Force.
No, that's it. No. He would say Awakening Force. It will. Force Awakening. It will. But I'm not going to do it because my throat's a bit sore because I was kind of drinking a bit over the weekend.
Bad person. We don't condone alcoholic drinking.
Well,
no, we don't.
Don't do as I do. Do as I say. Yeah. Mark Wahlberg has been cast in the role of. It's not been confirmed it will be the same character, but it's been cast in. I don't have the name of the character.
It has been confirmed. Steve Austin.
It's going to be Steve Austin. Okay, brilliant. He's going to be, though, not the $6 million man. He's going to be the $6 billion man for director Peter Berg, which the two of them paired together last on Lone Survivor. And they're going to be working together on this movie, which is obviously based on the 1980s TV series with... I forgot his name was now, who it was in the original. I don't have it down here.
I don't have it written down either.
No, I can't think either. It's the same guy as the Fall Guy.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, him. Yeah. How professional do we sound tonight? Yay.
Yeah.
Okay,
the reason why he's probably called the $6 billion man is down to inflation, because in the 80s he was only worth $6 million, now he's worth $6 billion.
Well, the thing is, we have had recently, we had the Bionic Woman, didn't we? On television, the last few years, there was the one they tried doing with I can't remember what her name is, but again, terrible names. But it was someone out of EastEnders here who went on to star in TV series in America, and it was during the writer's strike, so it ended up being cancelled because of having only a few episodes written and then having no more episodes to make, and nothing ever happened with it. And the thing is, I quite liked that. It was pretty good. It set up things, and I liked where it was going, but. It's a shame. So I guess we're now going to get them doing, the same kind of thing, but on the big screen. And so we're going to have really big sort of effects and everything. And there'll be a shot in it that will be, like the new RoboCop shots of the body and everything that will show how fully advanced the bionic parts are.
It'll be a mixture between Peter Berg's last two films, a mixture between Lone Survivor and Battleship.
Hopefully more like the latter than the former.
Probably not.
Final piece of news I've got is that Fury director David Ayer, who's already been confirmed as the director of the upcoming Suicide Squad movie that will feature villains from the DC Comics universe, will now have Jared Leto playing believe it or not, the Joker. He'll be playing the Joker along with, also who's been cast alongside them, Margot Robbie, last seen in Wolf of Wall Street, will play his sidekick Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I think this is really good casting. If you look at how emancipated Jared Leto was in Dallas Buyers Club and how much of a chameleon actor he is, because he picks and chooses his roles. He's not one of these... He is the lead singer of the band 30 Seconds to Mars, and he is not one of these people who will just instantly jump into a role just because he wants the next thing to do. So he picks and chooses his roles, and I think they've gone for a really interesting person there, because he's got the voice. Because if you listen to some 30 Seconds to Mars stuff, he has got a really powerful voice there. So
he's got a good range, yeah.
Yeah, he's got an interesting voice there, and he's also got the style, the sort of like the body for it as well. So I think it's really good casting.
There's bits of the little tidbits I've got here about this. That apparently Ryan Gosling was the first choice to play the role. I couldn't mind him, but I think he'd be a bit too subdued to be.
His voice is just too soft. He doesn't have any power towards it.
Maybe. And there's also there are rumours about that Will Smith and Tom Hardy are being looked at for roles. If you don't make the connection, Tom Hardy did play Bane in the Batman film, so I don't know that they would do that because that would kind of confirm that it was the same universe, and I don't see that happening. But the thing I find really surprising is that supposedly they're going to try and get this done and have it out for August in 2016. If they're going to do that, they're going to have to sort of get on it pretty quickly to get everything sorted and done, and presumably they're going to have to do some post-production stuff to get it done out for that time. And DC do not want to be moving dates around because they've had to do this already with films, and it kind of doesn't work out well for them when they try and do things like that, especially against Marvel, who's already confirmed they've got a lineup of 9 other films coming out.
Yep. My news is you've sort of like pinched most of the news that I wrote down anyway. But
for 1 week, I had loads of news. I stole your thunder.
I had 6 pieces of news as well. But the other couple of pieces of news that I've got is The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed that both Tommy Lee Jones and Jessica Alba will be joining Jason Statham in a sequel to The Mechanic. The film will see Statham reprise his role as Arthur Bishop as he attempts to assassinate some of the most dangerous people in the world. It's set to come out on January the 22nd, 2016.
Now, I know it's not one of the most successful ones, but I quite enjoyed The Mechanic. I actually had the Blu-ray, and I quite enjoyed it. It's a bit at certain parts, but I did like it. I found it to be amongst Jason Statham's better films that he's been in recently, and I'm quite pleased with this. I don't mind this, and the casting includes, a good cast additions that I will gladly see this when it comes out.
I've not seen The Mechanic.
It's actually been on television, on film for a few times.
It's
so I'm sure. Watch out for it, and I'm sure it'll probably be on. It's not on this week that I've seen, but I think it was on actually last month sometime. So they'll have it around again.
It's one of those films where I just keep on passing it by because I just have no interest in it whatsoever. It looks really generic and like bad.
And so it actually has a decent performance from Ben Foster in it as well, because he's in that one.
So yeah, it just fleets and flirts for me. The other piece of news I have is Matt Damon has confirmed that he will star in the next Bourne film, despite him ruling a return out after the Bourne Ultimatum. Jeremy Renner, who took over from Damon in the Bourne Legacy, said he would love to team up with Matt Damon for a crossover film. However, I've just read now a little bit of updated news on it. Paul Greengrass has confirmed that he is going to return to direct the next film. However, it will not feature Jeremy Renner's character. So Jeremy Renner is not going to be in it.
I think that's a mistake because they've now set off this tangent. I think they need to connect them. I think he has to appear in it in some point. I'm not saying have him be the main character, but I'm saying have his character make some appearance or some kind of connection somehow, because as much as Matt Damon wasn't in the last one, there were connections, and he saw things on the news as he was doing it, and obviously they're connected. So there needs to be some kind of a. You can't have him just go off and then never come back again. It needs to be wrapped up.
For me, even though I wasn't a big fan of the Bourne Legacy, I just thought it was a bit of a messy film. I felt that the original Bourne trilogy was wrapped up nicely. I don't think we needed to see anything more of Jason Bourne's character. We learned everything out about him during the 3 films, about how he was manipulated, how he was worked on and changed to be sort of like more autonomous, and him getting more back of his memories. So we learned about all of that. I learned about his past and how he managed to escape things. So we know all of that stuff. Where else can they go with his character? We've learned absolutely everything out, and so with them switching to a different character with the Bourne Legacy, it was them just saying, yeah, we're going to establish a brand new character in the universe, in the Bourne universe itself, and let's see how it goes there. I feel it a bit a bit of a cop-out because they might have looked at how well the Bourne Legacy did at the box office and it didn't do as well as they expected. So they're thinking, let's get Matt Damon back to play Jason Bourne again because that's what people want.
Well, I mean, Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass both said they wouldn't come back unless they could figure out a way to do it because they didn't want to do it just for the sake of it. They wanted to do something that would be a good thing. So I don't think they'll just come back for the money. I hope they won't because they don't. They both kind of got the integrity that they won't. So I would hope that they've got something. And the thing is, I suspect they'll have something they can do now because at the time, if you remember when Bourne Legacy came out, I said this has now opened up the Bourne universe so that there is more things that Bourne could do.
I'm just not sure. I'm skeptical on this, even though I'm a big Bourne fan. Apart from Legacy, which I thought was quite weak. UK box office top 10 time. Well, slightly expanded top 10.
Yeah, because I want to talk about the number 11 film, which is Horns, because I have now seen it, and I've got to say quickly, I quite enjoyed it. It's very dark, very humorously dark, and I really liked it. Daniel Radcliffe is absolutely fantastic in it. The one thing I would say is that it really sort of goes off the deep end at a couple of points that I wasn't expecting, so I was kind of not sort of shocked, but it was kind of like, whoa, taken aback by it. But if you get a chance, because I mean, it's a shame it's not really in the top 10, which means it's probably going to get taken out of a lot of screens. But it's worth seeing because it's a film that's quite powerful, and I mean that on the screen, quite loud and worth seeing on screen. Don't wait for the DVD. I think check it out if you like that sort of thing because it's good.
Just one other addendum to the top 10. Shia LaBeouf's latest film, Charlie Countryman.
Yep.
Or the whatever it's called.
The Necessary Death of Charlie Countryman.
Yeah, only managed to go in at number 33. It was shown on 103 screens and took just over £12,000 with a average taking of £118 per screen. That was the lowest out of any film in the top 10, even films that have been in the top 10 for quite a few weeks.
And things really annoying is that was actually showing near me, and loads of films that I want to see aren't showing near me.
Even Planes, Fire and Rescue beat Charlie Countryman. There was only one film in the entire chart which didn't beat Charlie Countryman, and that was Serena.
Oh yeah, well, it's not seeming to have done that well either, to be honest. And
drop off of 87.8% in its second week.
And I think so much of that is because of a lot of cinemas did have it and then dump it because it's not a film that's had a US release yet. It's so it's not had sort of the big publicity about it. It's kind of been dropped, so that's a shame as well.
Yeah.
So going into top 10 at number 10 with Annabelle.
Yeah, it's a cookie cutter bang film. It's a quiet bang kind of movie, and I'm sick of these films. Just completely sick of them. These kind of movies push brilliant horror films like The Babadook and Horns to an extent out of the chart because The Babadook is down to number 12 from last week's number 10. I was hoping for it to hang around a little bit more and Horns to go into the chart as well, but it's stupid films like Annabelle which do that.
Number 9 is Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, which I don't think you've seen, have you?
Nope.
No. And this is a Disney film. It's a typical Disney thing. It's the one of those 80s style Disney film. They're getting back to their kind of roots and doing films that are kind of very PC, not hurting anyone. And that's fine. It's not brilliant. It has some moments in it that did make me chuckle and laugh, and it's good family fun. But you're not going to get a lot of people, sort of older people, going to see it because they'll sit there and they'll think, obviously it's a kids' film, it's rated PG, but it's a family film. So if you've got kids and you want to go see something with them that you'll all enjoy, then see this. But there may be other films out that you could all watch together and enjoy just as much or a little more.
Okay.
No? With opinions?
Okay.
No?
Okay.
I know you haven't seen it, but I just, okay. And number 8 is The Maze Runner.
Because I know where you're going to go there. You're probably just going to say, I think you might like it, and probably not.
I think that's what I was going to say as well. And I thought, I think you'll like it if you, have a complete, breakdown and change personalities.
Yeah. If my brain started seeping out of my nose.
Yeah, there's no horror elements to it, so you won't like it.
Yeah. So Steve Carell doesn't get his head chopped off. Damn.
No, he does get his arm set on fire at one point, though.
And that still doesn't. I need his head chopped off. The Maze Runner. It's a pretty decent foundation of a film. We know that there's going to be other films coming out in the series, and it sets good boundaries of what it's going to achieve. It just looks like it's going to miss the mark by quite a bit, considering that the way the film ends, you can predict the way the next film is going to go, and it's going to be very similar to The Hunger Games Mockingjay, which is out in a couple of weeks' time. So by the time The Maze Runner comes out, it's going to be a year and a half behind The Hunger Games. So, yeah, it's okay for what it is.
At number 7 is Mr. Turner, which is a new entry this week. This is a film that I saw and reviewed last week, and I've got to say, I did enjoy it. I thought it was very good. Brilliant acting for Timothy Spall, who I hope gets an Oscar nod at least in it. But the problem I'll say with it is be prepared for it to be a long watch, because it is a 2.5 hour film, and unfortunately does feel like it doesn't need to be that long. Could well and truly have moments in it that could just be edited out or shortened to make it easily under 2 hours. I'd say would be the ideal target for the film. I think it's a little bit embellishes the elements, the content of it, and some scenes, as much as they are very good, you're sitting there watching it and you're going, yeah, don't need this, take it out, it would be better. So in this case, less is more.
Do you think, though, that he's got any kind of chance of being nominated in the Oscars? Because the fact that the Oscars is 5. It's 5 nominations in the Best Actor role, and with a film like Mr. Turner, it might do quite well awards ceremonies on this side of the pond, but when it goes to America, it's the kind of film that's going to completely escape them.
But the thing is with it, though, it's when I saw it, a large turnout of the audience there, and it was quite packed for an afternoon showing of senior audience, and that is, as we know, what kind of makes up a large part of the Oscars board is a lot of senior members, and I think that it will have that attraction to them. If they look at it, it's the kind of thing that I think some of them will have gone, oh, have you seen this? Look at this. And then they'll get hold of it, they'll see it, and then it will start to, things will start to, I think it will sort of spark off with them.
I don't think it will, though, because I think it's one of those niche films that them in America are going to ignore, because it doesn't matter if the audience was made up of elderly people. That's over here, though. When the film does get shown over in America, it's not going to be looked on that much, because it's going to be just completely buried. And considering that the actor Timothy Spall, I've not seen the film itself, and from what I've heard, it's a very strong performance. But they're going to look at slightly more mainstreamy kind of dramas for their nominations in the Best Actor category. So they'll look at the film that we're going to get onto at number 6. They'll look at the actor from that, and you can probably guarantee that he's going to be nominated. I think Timothy Spall has got a much better chance of being nominated in the BAFTAs than he has in the Oscars. He might get a nod, maybe he's in the Golden Globes, but I doubt he will. I think he'll be ignored.
I'm not disputing that, but I think that if he's nominated in the BAFTAs, obviously that's going to then attract attention from the Oscars, because they do see that, don't they? So I think that there's a chance he'll get nominated, and I'll be glad if he does. I don't think
he's got a chance at all.
At number 6 is Nightcrawler.
Yeah, this is the film that Jake Gyllenhaal will definitely be nominated, because it's not the fact that I am a bit of a Jake Gyllenhaal fan, because I do think he is the best actor out there. I think anything that he sets his sights to, he embodies the role brilliantly. And this is a despicable, nasty character that he plays, but he plays it with such gusto and such realism that you're scared of him. It's a film that you're watching, which is fictional, which has got elements based in real life. Yeah, obviously, it's twisting around what might happen in the newsrooms from what we think might happen in the newsrooms and the way they broadcast any news. But it's such a nasty character that you're scared of him. And I think only Jake Gyllenhaal could have handled the character that well. So I definitely think he's going to be nominated for an Oscar for this portrayal of his character in Nightcrawler. And the film itself, I hope it gets a lot of lot of nominations as well, because it definitely does deserve it.
And number 5 is The Book of Life,
which I really liked. It's colourful and yet it's dark, and it just mixes the both elements perfectly well. It doesn't sort of like languish in one area and sort of like just throw to one side the darkness by just maybe mentioning it and then just forgetting about it. It embodies each area of it, because it is about the Mexican Day of the Dead. And so when something is about the Day of the Dead, you're not going to just get it all colourful, even though if you go to Mexico, a lot of it is colourful. And there is a line in it where a little kid says, why are the Mexicans obsessed with death? We're only children. Which that's a really funny line, and it shows you the humour of the film itself. I love the animation as well. It's very marionette kind. So I really liked The Book of Life.
And number 4, starting to finally make its way out of the top 10 after being at number 1 for a couple of weeks, is Gone Girl.
Yeah, I really liked Gone Girl. I don't think it is the brilliant film that a lot of people are making it out to be, because, again, I had a problem with the last 20-25 minutes of it, and the fact that the film itself is awfully long. But the acting is very well handled. It's very creepy, which the film should be. And you're not sure who to side with, which makes it even more better, because at first you want to side with one character, and then you instantly switch. So you want to side with Ben Affleck, and then you instantly switch to Rosamund Pike, and then when you instantly go back, you just keep on chopping them backwards and forwards between each one of the actors in the film, and so it makes the movie more interesting in that way.
I think I agree with that, but I think I don't have as much of a problem with the ending as you do, but I do have a problem, narratively speaking, in that the order that the story is told, I think, is there are revelations that are made far too early in the film, considering its running time of 2 hours and 40 minutes or so. I think it gives away things for the story, as much as it's going to give them away because it's set up things. I think it gives them away far too early on. I think they should have been sort of told a different way. But I still think it's a very good film. But I am biased because I do love David Fincher's films. At number 3 is Fury. I'm not sure. Have you seen this? I can't remember. No, you haven't. This is a World War II movie with the crew of a tank, led by Brad Pitt and, amongst others, Shia LaBeouf. You have it is a war film at the very heart of it, but it's about this tank crew and their friends. It's David Ayer doing the group thing that he does, so not really doing anything different in so much as he's having the sort of cast and the characters all being stuck in a situation or being stuck together and having to this sort of weird bonding going on between them, like he has in his other police things. But obviously the setting of war in a tank is what's different, and he does a good job with it for the most part. There's parts in it which are a bit rough in the middle. It kind of loses its way at certain points in the middle, but then gets back on track into the whole war thing again, and it's a very, very good action drama. It's a sort of little bit of everything. Not love story, obviously, but it's not dedicated just a war film. It has more to it, which is a bit nice. But it's not for everyone, because there are parts in it that are graphic, there are parts in it that are a bit too strong, and I like it, but be guarded going into it, I would say. At number 2, the week's highest new entry for Ouija.
Yeah, which is terrible. At work today, my manager says, by the way, I've seen Ouija. I thought it was very good. I thought it was tense and scary, and it had its moments, and I was thinking, have you watched the same film that I did? Because it's not tense at all. It reminded me a lot of those Scream knockoff films, the Cherry Falls and movies of that ilk, because those films were really bad and they had no point. This is exactly the same. It tries to build up some kind of tension, and it just doesn't work. And then in the last 15-20 minutes, it realises it's a horror film, only to just not do very much with its premise. It's just rubbish. It breaks a fundamental rule right at the start of the film. They set up everything at the start, and it completely ignores what they've set up. So when a movie does that and expects you to follow it, then it's just, you know it's going to end off really bad. And under the guise of both Jason Blum, which is both a saviour and a person who's destroying horror at the moment, and Michael Bay, That's a concoction that I was hoping that would not have happened because, yeah, Jason Blum, I think you need to take a slight step back away from horror. He has produced Whiplash, which is out early next month for us, and it looks a really good film. So he is getting away from horror, not just doing horror, but he created a brilliant empire when it comes to horror. Don't destroy it like you're doing with films like Ouija.
Speaking of Michael Bay Productions, making a surprise movement up the charts from last week's position is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at number 1.
Yeah, the top 6 films all took more than £1 million, which is the first time that's happened since January this year, which is miraculous considering what's happening over in America, where the box office is slumping apart from Sunday just gone, where the number 1 and 2 films were Big Hero 6 or whatever it's called, and Interstellar, both taking just over $50 million. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's not as bad as a lot of people making it out to be, but that's not an indictment to say that it's a good film, because it's not. It is very clunky and clangy, and it just has no point to it whatsoever. But it's not as offensive as people are making it out to be. It's not that horrible rush of horribleness into your eyes. There are some entertaining elements to the movie. But that's not, like I said, that's not to say it's good. It's tolerable.
Yeah, I agree largely. Although the thing is, oddly enough, I mean, it's getting compared to Transformers because it's Michael Bay produced, and there are definitely Michael Bay moments in there, but it's oddly more fun than Transformers. As much as it's stupid and ridiculous as Transformers, it's also more fun than Transformers.
Because it wasn't directed by Beer, it was directed by Lieberman instead of Beer, so he was only producing it, so he wasn't the person behind the camera shouting at people.
No, but it's still far, there's moments you watch it and you go, that's Michael Bay, that's Michael Bay, that's Michael Bay, yeah.
The joke when Michelangelo says, she just made my shell harden, which is just quite creepy.
It is cringe-worthy. It's cringe-inducing as well.
That is definitely a beerism. Right, on to our reviews of the night. This is where Andrew's going to take over the show.
Yeah, because of... I've seen the 2 films that we are covering this week.
And I've seen the main one.
First of which, yeah, you've seen this one as well. Interstellar. Christopher Nolan's... it is a science fiction epic. Starring... yeah. I'm not going to do that yet. Matthew McConaughey stars as Cooper, the main character of the film, who we're introduced to on a Earth in the future where the Earth is sort of, kind of dying in a way. There is this blight that is destroying all sort of crops. Mankind has kind of digressed into a society that now focuses on producing crops, largely corn as the only thing that seems to sort of survive this blight. There are these dust clouds that are sort of brushed up every now and again. People are sort of hit by massive dust storms, the likes of which you would see in a desert. And he is living on his farm with his 2 children, his son and daughter. His son, I don't know his name actually, sorry, but his daughter Murph, and with his father-in-law played by John Lithgow, Murph played by Mackenzie Foy. Things sort of are going on sort of normally every day until they have these sort of weird occurrences where Murph has this poltergeist in her room, and these weird things start happening. Some weird things start happening with the dust at one point during a dust storm, and he sits there and realizes there is a code in a message. He is sort of in this sort of situation where he is living with his family in this situation. He yearns for more because of the fact that mankind used to look to the stars, but he used to be a pilot. Now he's a man who sort of builds machines so that they can get the most out of their crops. Here's a clip where he's been called into school because of the fact that his opinions of the world, his opinions of mankind very much differ from everyone else's. Here's a clip.
Murph is a great kid. She's really bright, but she's been having a little trouble lately. She brought this in to show the other students the section on the lunar landings.
Yeah, that's one of my old textbooks. She always loved the pictures.
It's an old federal textbook. We've replaced them with the corrected versions.
Corrected?
Explaining how the Apollo missions were fake to bankrupt the Soviet Union.
believe we went to the moon?
I believe it was a brilliant piece of propaganda that the Soviets bankrupted themselves, pouring resources into rockets and other useless machines.
Useless machines.
And if we don't want a repeat of the excess and wastefulness of the 20th century, then we need to teach our kids about this planet, not tales of leaving it.
You know, one of those useless machines they used to make was called an MRI. And if we had any of those left, the doctors would have been able to find the cyst in my wife's brain before she died instead of afterwards. And then she'd have been the one sitting there listening to this instead of me, which would have been a good thing because she was always the calmer one.
So Cooper sort of discovers this puzzle, this clue, goes to find out what it is, and ends up meeting with the last sort of remnant of the NASA program, led by a group including characters played by Michael Caine. You have Anne Hathaway, who plays his daughter, and also others like Wes Bentley in there as people that are looking to get a mission underway which will potentially save mankind, because there has been a weird thing detected of an anomaly, a wormhole in orbit of Saturn that will lead them to a potential other planets and places that the human race can survive. And they realise that Cooper could potentially be an asset on this mission. That's about as far as we really want to go. That's as much as you can see in the trailer. That's not really giving away anything that hasn't already been given away. Here's the thing I will say about Interstellar is that it is a epic film. It is quite massive. It is quite long. It's 2 hours and 49 minutes long. And the thing is, it's a stretch at certain parts, but for me, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was very well written. I think it does really go out there, especially in the last third of the film. It really, really goes out there. And there are moments that people will struggle to stay with it, I think, because of that. But I was struggling with it, but having fun with it and going along, and I got a lot more of it, I think, than the average person would. But I absolutely loved it. It does have Christopher Nolan's bizarreness for his ideas that it does. From, if you've seen, I mean, Inception being the main one, that's a very bizarre idea with an idea with an idea. It's that kind of a thing the more the film goes on. But the thing I will say that is, I mean, I've seen it once. I intend to fully see it again, and probably again after that, because there is so much in it, little things, and I love the whole thing of what's explained and the science in it. I know that it's a bit over the top with some of that at times, but I think it's needed in there for layman's, and I think it's very well done. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a great performance from Matthew McConaughey, not his best, but a very good performance. And I think it's very nicely done, very nicely put together, and I really enjoyed it. And I honestly didn't feel as if I've been sitting there for near 3 hours. I felt it was long. I felt there were certainly parts that it could be taken out of it to make it a little bit better, but not a massive amount. And I really do think that Christopher Nolan's done another thing of, you know, another advantageous cinema, which has paid off, but not as successfully as something like Inception.
Right. My thoughts is, firstly, I love the fact that Christopher Nolan made it completely ambiguous as when it's set. Instead of giving us, bombarding us with tons of information that the film is set in, say, the 70s or even the mid-21st century, we're never actually sure when the film is set. So I like the fact that he was brave enough to do that, because he could have fell into the pitfalls of, by doing that, with it being set around agriculture, you think, oh, it's going to be set in the 70s or 80s or 90s. Yeah, but it's not. Also using the plot point where it is people surviving and struggling on things like corn is the only substance that they're able to farm. They've managed to farm ochre in the past, but that's now gone thanks to these dust storms, which when they do happen, they have a threatening feel to them. And so it's nice to show that there are elements on Earth which it is breaking down. It's unfortunate, though, that it's never fully explored in different areas of Earth, but that's understandable because it would have made the film a bit too big for its own boot if it was trying to expand out to, by you seeing news reports and seeing that dust storms are happening in Europe. We probably didn't need to hear about that. So I've heard a few critics saying that was one of the problems, but I didn't find that an initial problem with the film. What I did find problems with the film, though, is even though the emotional ties are there between both Matthew McConaughey's character and his daughter's character through the film, I thought they were quite weak at times. The whole there's a part before he leaves Earth where he has a conversation with his daughter, and it lasts about a minute, and that's supposed to be the emotional tie that latches them both together. They are supposed to be like attached by the hip practically. However, he was able to sever that tie so quickly and get onto the ship without any remorse at all that it just made me think, you really do care about your daughter that much, yet you're willing to instantly just quickly get away from her? Understandable, yeah, it's about the forward of mankind and trying to rescue mankind, but the way he is able to sever that tie very quickly is a bit hit and miss for me. Also, the way the film explores what it does in the last third of the film, I didn't find confusing at all. I felt like the movie was trying to be confusing and trying to be over-intelligent when it didn't need to be. It didn't need to try and be overly complex to explain how things happened. It didn't need to do that. And also, I would say the last 15 minutes of the film was completely pointless. I just didn't like the way the last 15 minutes of the movie was structured at all. It could have ended about... I agree with you with the fact that it's too long. And it could have ended at about the 2 hour, 20 minute mark and being able to tie up things at the end there rather than having us stay there for another 15, 20 minutes just to get little bits and bobs which Nolan thinks that viewers weren't able to tie up themselves. I like the fact also that he mixes sort of like broken down things with more up-to-date technology. The fact that if you look on the ships when they're very closed in areas, you've got these robots which you would see in a 1960s science fiction TV program because they're just big hunking slabs of metal, yet their movements are very futuristic.
They're
so
very, I do like that as well. They're very, very nicely designed, and again, they're all designed. You know that they're physically can be real and done and just advanced technology, but very, very cleverly thought out.
Yeah, I do like the fact that he's got that in mind. The fact that anybody could build something like that, but the technology inside of it is a bit more unique, considering that these robots aren't just robots. They have proper emotions in a way. There is a constant jokes between McConaughey's character and one of the robots about his humour. The fact that he's going to dial it down. And so it's nice to see little interspersions of humour into the film itself when you've got too many serious elements.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's also this. I'm sorry interrupting you, but you've really kind of hit a point there that I didn't think of to say. But the interesting thing about the robots is it's kind of like the thing that you would normally have in a film for just to be a humorous element to break the tension, and they do that. But then they're also there as machines that do things and they have purposes. They're not just there for satirical sidekick things. They're actually there for serious things, and they work in both capacities perfectly.
Yeah, and also I think it was brave at times with the score when it just went completely silent. Yeah. That's a hard thing to pull off to try and get the audience attention. When out in space, he really utilises the fact that in space itself there isn't any sound. And so when you do get scenes of the camera going outside of the spaceship, it's quiet. It's absolutely deadpan quiet. And when you can sit in an audience where everybody is quiet, you don't hear any rustling whatsoever, where you definitely could hear a pin drop on the thickest carpet possible, then you know it's got their attention. And that's what happened to me when I went to see the film. In the quiet elements of the movie, you could hear a pin drop. Yet it's also mixed with some of the loudest elements you'll have ever heard in a film. When the sound system blasts out, you feel your seat actually shaking to some of the sound. So I really like the way the score is implemented in the film. It's not the brilliant film that a lot of people are saying it is. It's not Nolan's best film, but it's a very important film to watch. I don't think it's one of those movies where I think I'll change my mind over multiple viewings, because I think I got everything out of the film during my first trip. That's not to say that I'm a smart cookie, but I understood practically everything in the film, and I don't think I'm going to find different nuances during the movie. But that's not to say that I won't enjoy the film more when I do get to see it multiple times.
I mean, I just think I've seen it. I got a lot of stuff in it, but I just think there's going to be more to it. I think there's more in it that is below the surface of things that I don't think you can actually see, you can actually get until you've seen the whole thing and you have the picture of the whole in your head, because it's the whole thing in your head. I think there are things in it that you go, you'll see it a second time, you go, oh, that's, and there's obviously some people will get that more than others, but I think there's definitely things in there that will be, you sort of cross the I's and dot the T's and get them all more a second time around. But, I mean, I didn't get a chance, unfortunately. I didn't have time. I wasn't able to see it in IMAX. I really want to see it in IMAX, and I'm going to try as much as I can to see it again, but to see it in IMAX this time.
If that's the case, though, it's going to be the last half of the film which does that rather than the first half of the film, because I think the first half of the film is played out so straight that it's the second half of the film where the complex stuff will just start getting bombarding at you when it is explaining space. But that was another one of the little problems that I had, is the fact that scientists explaining to scientists what a black hole is and how a black hole functions. You just question that. Why do they need to do that when they could have easily just explained that kind of stuff down on Earth, that a black hole does this? It's when they were actually explaining, one of the scientists saying that the quickest point from point A to point B is just folded in on itself. I understood that because I got that from Event Horizon. So I got that stuff from that, but it just didn't need explaining. That was just stuff to extend the film's length.
I quite like, we're getting into details here, but I quite like that, the explanation bit, and I didn't have a problem with that because of the fact that Matthew McConaughey's character is supposed to be a pilot, but not necessarily like an astrophysicist, and he's been taught to fly things, but not about, travelling to other worlds and such. So
he's taught to fly things with such brilliant skill in the ships that he's able to fly is unbelievable. Considering that I doubt he would have had that kind of to be able to do that on Earth. So it's amazing how he's managed to actually remember all these skills without forgetting them, considering that he became a farmer after he was a pilot, and it's the kind of thing that you will be slightly rusty about, yet when he's able to get inside of the ship and pilot the ship, he's unbelievable. He could fit through an eye of a needle. Yeah. And I know they're only small...
Supposedly there's been a passage of time that he would have had, a little bit of work in a simulator.
Well, not the way technology was going on Earth, but these are semantics, these are nitpicks at the film itself. But we could be here all night just explaining the film.
So the other film that we've seen this week to release is The November Man, which is directed by Roger Donaldson. It is, I believe, based on a series of books, and it's following a character of Devereaux, played by Pierce Brosnan, who is a character we introduced at the start. He's a CIA sort of hitman, action man. He's on a mission. Things go slightly wrong. He ends up sort of walking away from it. 5 years later, we see him sort of, he's retired. He's living on an island somewhere. And someone comes up to him and says, we need you back for this. There's an agent in trouble in Berlin undercover, someone who he knows from his past, and this person needs his help to get out and sort of smuggle themselves out of the country. He goes on the mission. This happens, and it's a case of that. Unfortunately, when he gets there, the character that he has issues with from his past, his protege, is also there on this mission. Here's a clip.
Don't worry, I checked her out. Scenario. Agent falls in love with girl. Agent runs him up. Girl gets kidnapped. The other guys want to know the agent's source. What does he do? What do they do to the girl?
Is there a point to this?
Yeah. Over your right shoulder.
Us or them?
Does it really matter? You feel the need for a relationship? Get a dog.
So it's one of these kind of spy thrillers that, and the weird thing is because it's Pierce Brosnan, but the thing is this is more suited, I think, to Pierce Brosnan than he was to Bond. I've seen all the Bond films. I like him as Bond, but he's not my favourite. He's not serious enough for me for Bond, But in this, he's a very serious, very low down. He, at times, is not a very likable character. He does some things in it which are very questionable. You kind of go, why do I like him? But I don't necessarily say that I'd like him, but I find him a very interesting character. You have this protege that's now sort of the one that's opposite him, and sort of he's up against in Mason, played by Luke Bracey, who's unfortunately not as interesting and not as much of an interesting foe to watch. But it's good enough that Pierce Brosnan is there and doing what he does and doing it really very well. Olga Kurylenko is also in the film as a woman who is involved in elements, and she is sort of a part there that he has to help her. And there are moments in it that I thought, this is a good spy thriller. The only problem I would say is that it's let down by the fact that it's a bit clunky plot-wise. It has too many things going on, too many characters, needed to be a little bit simplified and streamlined so that it works better than it does. But it's not a bad film, and it's an okay thriller. It's a good watch. It's enjoyable. It's not too long. It doesn't run for 2 hours, and it's okay. There was even a twist at one point that I didn't see coming, and I quite like it because of that. It managed to pull the wool over my eyes, for one thing. So it's good. It's not brilliant. It's better than Brosnan's Bond films, but only just because of the fact that it's darker.
Well, that's it for the cinema section of the show. We'll be back in a moment with the Blu-ray and DVD section.
From page to screen,
So they have 9 times out of 10 they have to send it back to you unopened or just throw it in the garbage can.
Things don't always look exactly as we envision our life to look, but sometimes it works out and turns out even better.
Gregor Fisher, his bacon number is 2 because he was appeared with January Jones in Love Actually, and January Jones and Kevin Bacon appeared in X-Men First Class together.
I've got to say, the very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas, now that just makes me want to rush out.
It's about the acting, about the writing. That's really what theatre is for me.
Probably had more names than Prince or whatever. Never mind, there's a joke for the oldies. It'd be like, who's Prince? Who's he? I'd just like to see Mr. Freeze hiring his bad guys, going, right, okay, so you're a psycho, right, can you ice skate? Head over to iTunes, Spreaker and Stitcher and put in the search box From Page to Screen.
And we're back. Hello and welcome to the Monday Movie Show DVD and Blu-ray home release section, during which we're going to have a look at the UK DVD and Blu-ray top 10 and these new releases.
Melissa McCarthy's latest comedy, in huge massive inverted commas, with Tammy, The Return of the X-Men and X-Men Days of Future Past, Clint Eastwood directorial film Jersey Boys, a French film in Grand Central, and Begin Again starring Keira Knightley.
But before that, as I said, let's go straight into the DVD and Blu-ray top 10.
And at number 10 is Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, the last week of the Disney Buy One Get One Free, which just finished, I think it was actually yesterday. So these are in the chart for this week, but they'll probably start dropping out now. I mean, this is the classic Disney film, which obviously, I mean, this is probably the one that a lot of people have been getting because of its links with another film in the top 10, which we'll get to in a moment. And it's perfectly fine. It's classic Disney. I wouldn't say it's among my favourite of them, but it's good classic Disney.
It's crafty, isn't it, how Disney planned this? Stop the promotion about 4 or 5 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
Interesting. At number 9 is a new entry for Viking Series 2.
I haven't seen this show, so I don't know what it's like, but I'm hearing good things about it, and I'm kind of interested in seeing it. So it looks good, but we can't say yet. We haven't seen it, and really it's TV, so let's move on.
Isn't this Amazon Instant's original TV series? It was originally Love Films, but obviously now it's Amazon Instant, so I'm guessing that's the reason why a lot of people have not seen it.
I think it's Amazon Instant, but I think, oddly enough, I remember seeing something about it being made by the History Channel.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it has been shown on television over here, but I definitely know it's a Amazon Instant production. So that's it's surprising it's in the top 10 though. Number 8 is Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, really enjoyed this. Good science fiction film, and it's quite nicely written. It's very well directed. It's very comical at parts, even though it doesn't descend into ridiculousness. For a film that involves time travel and repeating over and over again, that's very rare. And I gotta say, it's a good all-round fun science fiction action movie,
which I don't own. I haven't bought very many films this year, surprisingly, so it's no surprise that I don't own it. At number 7,
yeah, the 3D's not bad in it as well.
I probably need to rectify that for Christmas. I probably will actually just go on a big massive shopping spree, and the films that I missed out this year, Frozen probably is included, I'll end up buying on Blu-ray just so I can say, oh, I bought this for Christmas. And no, I won't be buying this for Christmas. And number 7 is the new entry for the Snow Queen.
Which I don't know the details of, but I believe it's one of these sort of small, tiny releases that's getting a lot of traction because it's, one of these out well in time for Christmas, and on the sort of the cheap side at the checkout of your local Tesco, Asda, Morrison's, be what they are.
Yep. Number 6 is Maleficent,
which is the Disney film which links in with Sleeping Beauty at number 10. This is the the alternate version, real life version of the not animated version, live action, yes. And for the most part, it's okay. It does sort of stretch things a bit, and I found it actually to be honestly a very poor performance from Angelina Jolie, because I didn't think she was very good in it.
At number 5 is Godzilla,
which is fine. It's not fantastic. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's okay. It's a bit of a stretch on its second watch. First time seeing it is good, but you really got to see it on a big screen and big sound, so you need to have a good home system for it, I think.
I've only seen it once. I've not seen it twice. I don't know what
I just found it very draggy. The sound and picture are really good, as I say again, because I have a home system, but I just found that it didn't lend itself much to a second watch.
Yeah, I might be interested in seeing it again for a second time just to see if it did change my mind on it. I doubt it will. Number 4 is Frozen,
which is I was slowly becoming is it not already the most successful Disney movie of all time? It's insane and still doing well. And please, just enough. It's going to go up. It's going to go up soon for Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's the movie that's going to be on Sky Movies on Christmas Day, so it's their big film. They've got their advert out already, and they've used Frozen.
You hear that, everyone? You don't need to buy it. It's going to be on Sky.
Yeah, you just need a Sky Movie subscription, so it would be cheaper to go out and buy the DVD or Blu-ray of it anyway.
Oh, don't say that. Don't tell them that.
Actually, just Red Now TV for a month, and that's only $9.99. So yeah, just watch it on there. Watch it repeatedly on there, and then it'll probably be in the top 10 again in January.
Yeah.
At number 3 is The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug.
I believe that's in here because of the extended version being released, which I actually have. Just hadn't had time to watch it because it is 3 hours and 5 minutes long. I don't have a problem with that because I look forward to when I can watch it, and I love the first one, even though a lot of people didn't, including yourself.
Yes.
But I really like that, and I'm looking forward to this because I love the second one, and I think there's just going to be more richness to it because of that.
Yeah, the trailer is out. The final trailer for the Battle of the Five Armies is out. It looks okay, but you and Mark from Following the Nerd sparked up an interesting conversation on Facebook regarding this and its similarities between the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles regarding CGI and stuff. So
yeah,
let's just say I had a bit of a giggle. I was on the outskirts, even though I did comment on it, and I stuck up for Mark and not you.
You poked the sleeping bear.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to go any further from that. And number 2 is Mrs. Brown's Boys movie.
Just no, horrible, awful. Get it out of the top 10 as quick as you can. Don't buy it. You'll probably find it's in the second-hand stores already because it's utter. It is crap.
It's dross. It's dumb. It's terrible. And at number 1 is a new entry for The Fault in Our Stars,
which is really good, really well written. I think it's a fantastic performance from Shailene Woodley in it, and also from, I forget his name, but you'll know it, don't you?
Ansel Elgort.
Yep. You're just good with names like that. I'm terrible, but I think it's really well done. The only thing is, it is too long. It needs some bits to, and I hesitate to say it needs bits taken out of it, but it does. But the thing is, I don't think it will work if they're taken out. It's one of those, it should, but it shouldn't films. But very, very good. Just make sure you got 2.5 hours to watch it.
Yeah, I just believe that the central section of the film itself belongs to a different film.
Yeah,
but it did make me cry.
It's got these scenes in it. Yeah, it is a tearjerker, but it's these scenes in it that are... I don't think your connection with the characters would be as strong if those scenes weren't in it, because there are strong moments there for the characters.
There was a better way to handle it, and the way they handled it in the film wasn't the right way. Yet the film did actually make me cry.
It could have been better, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it for this week's DVD and Blu-ray Top 10. Let's go on to our first of our 5 releases this week.
Yes.
Yeah. With Tammy, which is directed by Ben Falcone, stars Melissa McCarthy, who also had a hand in writing it as the title character. She is a woman who works at a kind of like a McDonald's place. She is sort of working there, not really into it. She's kind of on notice for things, not being the best employee and such. Goes home early one day after being fired to walk in on her husband having a relationship with another woman. She kind of ends up walking out, going to her mum's. Her mum is sort of having her grandmother, played by Susan Sarandon, is there. And it turns out the two of them sort of decide, that's it, we're going to go on a road trip, and it's that kind of a movie. Here's a clip.
Don't get sassy.
Okay, sorry.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just get pie. You want some pies?
I like pie.
Well, get a pile for you. Get a pile for... If you change your attitude, I'd like to give you some pies on me.
No, that's okay, thanks. I don't care for him.
God damn it. So what did we just talk about? I have a gun on you. I offered you pie. He likes pies. He's got a gun to his face. Anything I say, he's gonna like. I ask you, you want some pies?
I like pies.
Come on, that's what I'm talking about. All right, put a stack of pies for her, a stack of pies for me. Which one?
I think this is all of it.
Just get over there. Go. Don't walk right toward the gun.
Sorry.
Put pies in there. Put them in. Don't creep up on me like that.
Larry, seriously.
You like apple?
I do like apple, but don't make me... I don't want to have to choose between you.
Just Larry.
Larry, she's telling me to take you out.
I'm a veteran.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So during that scene here, that Tammy is holding up her former job, surprisingly not being recognised, and to steal money so she can go on a road trip with her grandmother, played by Susan Sarandon, and that's kind of the setup to it, and that's the kind of ridiculousness of it, and that's just how poor it really is. It's really not good. And the thing is, there's moments in it that it has signs of like, oh, that's that's a good idea. That would be good. That that would work. But not in the comedy that Melissa McCarthy does and is trying to do. And I'm just so tired. She's quickly becoming, put it this way, she's becoming more annoying to me than Katherine Heigl, and that's really saying something. And the thing is about it is that what's really annoying about this film is that if it had not been played for comedy as she's trying to play it, if it had been played as a drama, because this character is just so tragic, and there's a couple of moments in it as well, as I said, that are kind of tragic moments that would be really good as a drama. I would actually quite like to see her try and do that, and I think that would work with this material. Instead of that, we get this horrible comedy attempt, though, that's not funny. It's not even interesting. You kind of just sit there going, yeah, Tammy, you're a pathetic character, and I don't like you anymore, and I don't care for you either, and just hurry up, get through your movie's 97-minute running time, because at the end of it, I'm going to go and drink as much as I can so I can black out and forget this atrocious movie.
Yeah, I agree with you on the fact that Tammy would have been much better if it concentrated more on its drama than comedy, and it's sort of like what sums up Melissa McCarthy's career, because she has potential there. If you look at Identity Crisis, the one with Jason Bateman in it, there was a moment in that film where there was a drama element to it, but then it instantly switched to being comedic, and it worked on the drama side but failed on the comedic side. That's the same with Tammy. There's an element in the film which happens, not going to spoil where it is or what it is, but when it happens, you think, she can actually act, and then all of a sudden she destroys it. You need somebody to be able to push her into the direction of drama, like what happened with Jim Carrey when he did The Truman Show, or something like that, or the Prestige, or films like that, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It showed that Jim Carrey is not only a good comedic actor, well, in his early films, but he can also handle drama brilliantly. There is a film out there from Melissa McCarthy. I just wish she would take a sidestep completely away from comedy, just for one film to try it, to see if she can handle it well. If not, go back to comedy. And then we'll forget what you've just done there, but at least try something different. You're just stereotyping yourself over and over again. And if you've got the power to be able to write the character for yourself, why would you write such a stupid character like Tammy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree.
It's confusing. Just like the plot for X-Men Days of Future Past. But I promised I'd try my best to actually get through the plot without confusing myself. So, it's set originally in 1973, where the Sentinel program was created to sort of like track down mutants, etc. But the Sentinel program has gone out of control. Fast forward 50 years later, and you have the X-Men that we do know, and Charles Xavier, and all the rest of the X-Men together, including Wolverine. They have managed to find themselves a place where they can rest slightly from the onslaught of the Sentinels, but they can't fully stop them unless they can go back in time and try and stop them that way. However, one of the characters is able to do this, but she can't hold them back in time long enough. So they decide to send the person who can regenerate himself, in Wolverine, back in time to hunt down for the younger Charles Xavier and Magneto to try and stop the Sentinel program, which is run by Peter Dinklage's character, Dr. Trask. He's a clip of Wolverine seeking out Charles Xavier and how broken Xavier actually is.
I was sent here for you.
Well, tell whoever it was that sent you that I'm busy.
It's going to be a little tricky, because the person who sent me was you.
What?
About 50 years from now.
50 years from now? Like in the future 50 years from now?
Yeah.
I sent you from the future?
Yeah. If you had your powers, you'd know I was telling the truth.
How do you know I don't have mine? All right, you've piqued my interest. What do you want?
I need your help. We need your help.
So they realise that Mystique could be involved in the plot as well, who's played by Jennifer Lawrence in the film. And like I said, you've got the returning of Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, who played the older versions of Professor X and Magneto, and the younger versions are played by James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. And they also have some ancillary characters around them, including Quicksilver, who steals the film practically in one brilliantly choreographed scene inside of a kitchen. It's just very well handled. That's how you handle slow motion. It's not even slow motion. It's time that's completely stopped. Yeah, that's how you handled it, Michael Bay. Take notes, because it's choreographed with such just aplomb, with such brilliance that when you watch it, you find different little nuances during the film. And the film itself is, even though the opening, I would say 20-25 minutes, tries to be too overly complex by throwing all of the stuff at you in one go, just so you can take a breath when you watch the rest of the film, because the rest of the film, the way it's set out, is a much more simplistic movie. Them just trying to stop the thing that was out to destroy them from destroying them in the future. It is that simple, and the way the film is handled it's handled really well. It's Bryan Singer returning back to the X-Men franchise, and when people found out that he was doing Days of Future Past, they was just aghast. They were just going, "Oh no, he's going to kill it again," but he didn't. He sort of like made it more popcorn-like, but he didn't kill the franchise. He sort of like forwarded it a little bit more. It's entertaining. It's got some really good set pieces, which an X-Men film should have. It has a few problems in the fact that the way it's resolved is a bit, it's sort of like throwaway, an idea that maybe Bryan Singer had on a piece of paper that he threw down on the floor, and he just thought, I can't be bothered to come up with something else, I'll just go back to that idea. So it just feels like something that's tacked on just to quickly end it. And the way some characters evolve during the film is just too quick in the way they're able to switch. So there are problems in the film, but it's an entertaining movie and it's an entertaining X-Men film, which is nice to see.
I largely agree with you. I am a fan of the X-Men films and characters, and I like most of the X-Men films. I'm not a massive fan of the first Wolverine one, but it's okay. But it's the thing that's interesting about this is that the Last Stand, which is the third X-Men film, which is the Brett Ratner one, which a lot of X-Men fans are angered about. This kind of makes up for it and corrects that problems with that. And the thing that's really good about it is that Bryan Singer has come back to it, and not only that, he's tied up all of the different strings that there were going off, because you had the Wolverine films going off on their own, you had the X-Men original trilogy, and then you had the X-Men First Class film, which went back in time and incidentally comes up in our TV movies of the week later on. And they're all we're all kind of all over the place here, there, and everywhere, and this all links them together and brings them all back. And that's what I thought was very nice and very cleverly done. That it links it all, and it's the one that kind of is a sequel and connected to all the other films. So you don't have to have seen all the previous films, but if you've seen any of them, then you have a way into this film and therefore into the others. It is not the best X-Men film. It's very, very good, but the best one still is X-Men 2, which was also Bryan Singer's one. And I think that it is a really nicely done, considering the fact that, again, it's time travel and things like that, that it's jumping back and forth between time, and it does that without getting too confusing and without losing the plot. It's just, things like in the top 10 we had Live, Die, Repeat, which features a weird time travel and repeat day. And in the same kind of way as that, this manages to be complex, but not overly so, and not so much so that you completely get lost in it as you're watching it. It's very smoothly handled, and I think is a great film that maybe to even one to start off of if you haven't seen any of the X-Men films before, because you'll see it and then you'll have these questions about what happened before, and then you can go back and find that out.
It skirts on the edge of maybe pushing you way too close to over being complex and overly trying to complex itself rather than the way it actually handles, but that's very close to the edge. It sort of like peeks over and looks at it and goes, nah.
Okay, so the next film I'm going to go through is Jersey Boys, which is directed by Clint Eastwood. It is based on the true story of the Four Seasons coming together, and based partly on the stage play of the same name. It's the movie that sort of features on obviously the characters of Tommy DeVito, Frankie Valli, and the group all as they sort of meet. They're sort of forced in a situation where sort of some of them go to prison, and in order to not go to prison they end up singing, and because of that then they become this big sensational thing and they all blow up. Here's a clip when you have a group of them, they're together, they've written a song, they phone up a producer and a guy who's in the record studio who's going to sort of have a listen to it to see what he thinks. Here's a clip.
Bob Crew? Hey, Crew. Yeah, I'm sorry we're late, but listen, we got something for you, all right? No, just listen. Here we go. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sherry.
Set up the 8-track.
What for?
We're gonna double Frankie's voice. It's gonna explode right off the radio.
Never heard of that before.
Because it's never been done before. I'm a genius.
Right, yeah. That's good, right? Right, Crew? Yeah, we'll be right over.
Here's the thing that I like this film. I do like Jersey Boys. I like the fact that it's a film about the musical industry and it's a biopic about these characters. The thing that a lot of people may not like, and my other half hasn't. I'm not sure if she's seen it yet or not, because she did want to see it, didn't get a chance to see it at the cinema. I think now she's going to see it now, unless she had seen it. But and she wanted to see it because she liked the musical, and I'm not sure that you'll like this because of the fact that it's not a musical. It has scenes of them singing in it, but it doesn't do big singing, dancing numbers in it. It's not a musical film. It is a drama based on their lives and this group coming together. Has a big dance and number thing at the end, on the end credits, in a kind of an homage to the stage play, but that's it. What you're seeing here is a drama all about the characters, all about them and their relationship with each other, and then eventually how they sort of fell apart and things went their own way and such. And that for me is perfectly fine. I'm happy with that than having it be every now and again turn into music sort of sing and dance thing. I think that would have felt forced. I think it wouldn't have worked. So I'm happy with that. The only problem is that it does feel as if there is something lacking because of that. There's something missing. And the music may have filled that in, but as I say again, I don't know that it would have worked. The big problem as well is the running time again. It seems to be a sort of concurrent thing this evening. It's 2.25 hours long, and that's just too long. It's not that it's overly long and nothing happens. It's that it's overly long and there's things happen and you go, well, didn't need that. There's little things that happen that you kind of, as much as they are history, they don't add anything to it. It's not things necessarily that affect the characters. You have things that happen and you go, well, it could have just done without that and it would have saved you 5 minutes, and there you go. It's 5 minutes shorter. It's a better film, but we don't have that. It's not Clint Eastwood's best film. It's not his worst one, but it's actually, I think, below the quality of what he's been putting out recently.
Next up, Grand Central, which is directed by Rebecca Zlotowski. It's a French film. It stars Léa Seydoux and Tahir Rahman. Léa Seydoux was last seen in the film Blue is the Warmest Colour under the guise of Abed Latif Kachichi, which he's a bit of a lecherous person, let's just say. It was a 3-hour film where she played a lesbian alongside Adele Exarchopoulos, and it was just a dodgy film for her because the amount of time that film had to be shot, the scenes in that film over and over again. And so she takes a sort of like a little bit of a step away from that with a character in Grand Central. She plays somebody who's just been engaged to the head of this industrial power plant where Tahir Rahman's character Gary has managed to be able to get a job there. He discovers that they're getting rid of nuclear waste and how dangerous it is to work in something like that. He manages to establish a friendship at first with Carol, who's played by Léa Seydoux, and that starts to go into more of a relationship rather than a friendship. However, she's, like I said, she's engaged to the foreman of the plant, and they need to try and keep this relationship under wraps. But it is Gary who is getting in trouble with this because he thinks that people might find this out, and also the dangers of what's happening at his work. Now, like I said, with Léa Seydoux's previous film, with Blue is the Warmest Colour, it was a bit more of an extreme role, and she's reeled it back a little bit in this, but that's not to say that she's taming it up a little bit. She does get naked in the film, like she did a lot in Blue is the Warmest Colour, but it's not down to that. It's just down to the fact that how dangerous jobs like working in an industrial power plant is, especially working with nuclear waste, but also how difficult it is to try and keep together a relationship involving somebody who's already tied to somebody else, and how you need to try and keep in the background without being there in the forefront. And it's very well acted by Tahir Rahman and Léa Seydoux. Olivia Gaumont pops up as Gilles, who plays the foreman of the power plant itself, and like I said, it's very well acted. It's just a bit of a normal film. There isn't anything explosive in the film. There is a couple of scenes where there is conflict that happens, and there are another few scenes where difficulties happens at the power plant itself, but it's just a bit too straightforward. And I'm guessing Léa Seydoux was happy to play a role like that rather than the one that she was in Blue is the Warmest Colour. But it's just a bit of a straightforward film for my liking.
And being that it's in French, we don't have a clip.
No, we don't have a clip. Unless people want a clip in French, and then we could sit here for a minute twiddling our fingers.
We could do that. We could do that and ask people, what do you think they're saying?
Yep. Maybe.
Subtitles, write the subtitles on the website.
Actually, you wouldn't need that for Blue is the Warmest Colour because it's just a lot of groaning noises, so...
Okay. The last film covered this week is Begin Again, which is written and directed by John Carney. It's it's not a musical, but it is a drama around music. We have the character of Keira Knightley, who is playing Greta, who's a girl who's she's written songs for her boyfriend, who she's now split up with. Her boyfriend being played by Adam Levine of Maroon 5, believe it or not. She then sort of finds herself hanging out sort of in a bar in New York, about to head back to London, not sure what's going on and what she's going to do with her life now. She's there with a friend played by James Corden, surprisingly not annoying, and she ends up going on stage in this bar to sing a song that she's written. At the bar, unbeknownst to her, is a character played by Mark Ruffalo, who is he's there while getting drunk because of the fact that he's a record producer who's just recently been fired, finds himself in a situation of not knowing what he's going to do. Sees her sort of playing, hears her playing, sees her on the stage, and puts it all together and realises this girl has something there, something special that a lot of people don't have, and there's something that he can maybe do about that. Here's a clip.
So I've been thinking, why do we even need to rent a studio?
Because you need a desk and live room and soundproofing.
Laptop, Pro Tools, a couple dynamic mics, and the city is our live room.
You mean record outside?
That's right.
Like where?
Everywhere. Every song we do in a different location, right? All over New York City. And we do it through the summer. And it becomes this tribute to this beautiful, goddamn crazy, fractured mess of a city, New York.
Okay. Like under the bridge and the Lower East Side.
Top of the Empire State Building.
Rowing boats in the lake in Central Park.
Chinatown. Cathedral of St. John the Vine, okay?
Okay, so what happens if it starts raining?
Whatever happens, we record it.
If we get arrested?
Keep rolling. It'll be beautiful.
And then obviously they go out and start recording all these things and get these weird things. And that's where the film sort of takes a new direction. And I found that myself sort of enchanted by it because of the fact that it has this magic, this thing. And you're going to have a go at me now because of the fact that I'm going to go about the fact that when I saw this, it was very much like Chef for me, but not about food, but about music and the love of music and someone's interest.
I'm not watching it then.
And I have to say that I really, really enjoyed it. I thought Keira Knightley is brilliant in it. I really am liking her as an actress. I really like Mark Ruffalo as well, who's in this. He's very sort of dishevelled, and he's sort of very sort of dirty looking, a washed up kind of character. And I thought it was really nicely done. I enjoyed it. I think it's well acted. I think the dialogue in it is perfectly fine. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. I think also, surprisingly, Adam Levine in it. He's in it for a fair amount of it, and supplies a fair amount of the humour in certain parts to his character, a sort of ridiculousness of him being a successful singer. And that's all. It's all part of a package that works well together. It doesn't have too much schmaltz for its own good. So if you like a good drama that's enjoyable, it's not overly long, it's not overly ridiculous, it's an hour and 40 odd minutes, then see this. And surprisingly, James Corden in it a fair amount without being annoying. No?
Okay. No, James Corden is annoying, so I'm still not watching it.
I was expecting some kind of comment on you from there about James Corden.
Yeah, he's annoying.
So that's it for this week's show. Before we go on to our look at some TV movies of the week, of which there are quite a few to choose from this week, I'm going to also just mention as well that Transformers Ages of Extinction is also available for digital download before its proper release next week, which we will cover it on next week's show.
Yeah, it was available for digital download last week.
I wasn't sure it was because I did
last
see it
week.
But then I've only seen it this week, which is the thing.
Yeah, last week Sky got it. Sky and iTunes got it last week.
iTunes, okay. But I mean, anyone who's going to see that will probably know that already. And you'll hear our review of that next week.
My review of it.
Yeah, well, I'll comment on it.
Yours. One of our reviews.
Yeah. But until then, TV movies of the week. So shout outs of what we got now. I mean, I've got a list of some written down here, and I'll go through which one I've picked as well. We've got Hunger Games. The first Hunger Games is on film for 9 o'clock on Tuesday. You have Dog Soldiers on Wednesday night at 11:15. Film 4 is all these ones are showing. X-Men First Class is on 9 o'clock on Thursday. Paul is on Friday the 14th at 9 o'clock. Sunday you have Legend at 7:05, and then Rise of the Planet of the Apes at 9 p.m. So all of these sort of films, and I think a couple others you've got there as well, haven't you?
Yep. There is Hard Candy, which is on the Horror Channel, which is on Friday night. I know a lot of people, some people might not have the Horror Channel, and it's slightly cheating, but Hard Candy is a tough watch. It's David Slade's directorial debut. He went off and then did 30 Days of Night, and then unfortunately a Twilight film. Why would you do a Twilight movie? But yeah, he did that, but it is a really, really, really tough watch. There is one scene which makes any person cringe, no matter what sex you are. But yeah,
that's your TV movie of the week, I think, isn't it? Yet? No, what's yours then?
Well, my proper TV movie of the week is part of what Film 4 called Fantastica. That's what all these films are. They're part of their Fantastica season, where they're just knocking it out of the park with the amount of movies that are shown. You have to realise, Film 4 is a free film channel, and the content that they're showing over the next few weeks is insane. But the film that I chose is because I'm seeing constant Christmas adverts, and they are getting on my nerves already. I've chosen a Christmas film that is completely the opposite of what you would normally expect in a Christmas movie. It's on Film 4 on Sunday the 16th at 12:30 in the morning, so midnight in the morning, so 12:30 a.m. Late Saturday night in that case. It's Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. Now, this is a really dark Christmas film which involves Santa Claus in a way you have never seen it before, and elves that will scar you for the rest of your life. It's really dark. It's got its humorous elements, but the elves are the scariest elves that you would ever see. It would give Pennywise and Freddy Krueger nightmares.
Yeah. Well, the movie that I'm picking for my actual TV movie of the week, believe it or not, I'm going to go for the one that's on Saturday night, 9 o'clock, Zombieland on Film 4. Because it's just a fun, crazy film, and it's one of the better zombie films to have come out recently. And also, what you can do, have a double bill, because after that, at 10:45, is Attack the Block, which isn't a zombie film, but it's a British sci-fi film, horror film, and it's fun.
With practical effects.
With great practical effects.
Brilliant practical
Joe
effects.
Cornish's film that he did that was a big sort of surprise, came out of nowhere, and really is worth seeing. And I don't believe it's very long either, so you won't have a very late night anyway. No? Not sure.
No.
I don't know. It's Saturday night anyway, so splurge on your late night anyway, so yeah. That's it for this week. Movie of the week.
Very simple, Interstellar.
Yeah, Interstellar, in cinema. DVD, I would say X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah, okay then.
Well, what are you going to do? Choose Tammy instead?
No, I just want to stick with Interstellar.
Yeah, Interstellar's fantastic. I'll certainly be seeing it again, and in IMAX if I can as well, because it is the IMAX version is apparently a full screen IMAX print for a lot of it.
And the final time you'll see a film in that kind of print, from what I know. I don't know what exactly is the aspect ratio of it. I know it's shot on film in a special way, but it's supposedly the last time you'll see a film like that on IMAX.
It's the 1:3 aspect ratio of like old television screens. That's because I've seen the IMAX, and it has that when it's the same as when you see the Dark Knight, and it had bits like that as well. Dark Knight. Dark Knight had it.
Yeah, it's supposed to go fully digital from now on.
But that's it for this week. Some shout outs as we usually give at the end of the show. You can always find us at mondaymovieshow.co.uk, on Facebook at facebook.com/mondaymovieshow, on Twitter at mondaymovieshow. Stuart's on there at Critically Tab Poll. I'm on there at AHDVD. And you can also find a few of the sites that we're connected with. You have followingthenerd.com, You have from page2screen.com, whose advert you heard in the show, the number 2 in the middle. And also the charity we do recommend, please have a look at and see if you can help them out at all with anything. Seren Foundation, SEREN Foundation.org.uk. So that's it for this week. We will be back next Monday, hopefully. We'll still figure that out. Check out mondaymovieshow.co.uk as soon as we know, you will know. Until then, we will leave you with a clip from the upcoming film, which is a sequel to Horrible Bosses, surprisingly titled Horrible Bosses 2, where the gang comes back and decides they're going to do a kidnapping this time. So, of course, they're going to speak to Jamie Foxx's character again to get some advice.
It's a clean clip.
It is a clean clip, yeah.
Surprising.
So. Yeah, mostly. But until next week, we'll see you then. Good night. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Good luck out there, boys.
Why are you
laugh about? I just said good luck.
You no, but you said it. You said it with giggles.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe you guys might want a little advice.
You got one on the hook. Give it to him.
It's going to cost you 51% share of your company.
You're
it's going to cost you 2% share of your company.
It's so weird how you negotiate. It's just
probably you can have that.
There's a middle ground.
Here's the advice, young man. Y'all criminals. See, you can't have this both ways. Every time you guys come in here, you're like, oh, we're just a bunch of happy-go-lucky guys. You know, once again, through no fault of our own, we found ourselves in another pickle. You tried to kill your bosses. One of them ended up dead. Now you want to perpetrate a kidnapping? You three are the craziest criminals I've ever seen in my life. You want to pull it off? You got to act like it.